You're showing, and as ugly as it was, we found a way to win. So really, really frustrating in a lot of ways, but proud of our defense to just keep us in the game. 3 takeaways, defensive score, obviously difference in the game. Offense was really, really out of sync and really, really performed poorly, and but found a way to win. Proud of our guys, and even offensively find a way to get that final 2-point conversion there was a great call. But yeah, just not a lot to be too fired up about on that side of the football. But obviously, when you find a way, you got a bunch of players that believe and they just battle and they fight and they claw and they scratch to find a way to win a game. And so winning's hard, and just get a chance to learn from it and get ready for the next one. Questions?
And Matt and Zach.
Coach, on Monday after this week, you mentioned you'd like to see your team come out and play with confidence for 60 minutes, come out with a certain mindset. Seemed like the same thing this week, except it kind of carried over maybe throughout the entire game. Just kind of where's the concern level? I mean, I guess what can you kind of do 4 games into the season to kind of change this?
Yeah, so obviously maybe look at changing some things we're doing in our schedule. You know, maybe change the personnel. You just find a way to make some changes to get a different result. Obviously, didn't prepare poorly this week, but at the same time, did have to remind them in an emotional way on Thursday about who this team is and who they can be, and don't look at the record and other things and things of the past. And because I knew just from watching film how hard they were going to play and how much talent they had at some key positions. And so, but thought we got their attention from that, but obviously not to the extent we needed to. So obviously need to look at that and make some changes.
Zach and Todd.
I guess, Tom, to follow up on that, I mean, did you, for lack of something more artful, sense that maybe your locker room was struggling not to look past Akron a little bit? And just, I mean, what's the battle a coach fights in a situation like that where obviously it's easy to sort of say it, but to get a whole group of people to keep that focus?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I think it's, you know, I was looking for opportunities and did not like at all how we practiced. We actually restarted some things on Thursday. And from what you're just saying right there, I just sensed the lack of really understanding who we were playing and their ability to beat you. And so, which is mind-blowing because we don't have any right to think that at this point. So, but did sense it for sure. Didn't like what I was seeing. And, but at the same time, didn't effectively get their attention for sure, especially in certain areas of the game. So, but yeah, to me, it's a matter of you know, addressing it, and like I said, making whatever change we got. I feel like we got to make to get us, after 4 games, getting us playing right out of the gate at a high level.
Todd on your right, then Mike.
Tom, 3rd down and 4th down, 3 for 16 combined on both tonight. What I know you need to watch the film, but
yeah,
what do you want to see unlocked in terms of trying to get that done? Because a lot of those were short yardage as well.
Yeah, you know, up front, didn't block well at all. Probably our worst performance of the season on the offensive line as far as running the football. Look, there's more than just them that are affected. There's tight ends and the quarterbacks and the reads and different things we do, but obviously not near good enough. You get on the goal line, you got to score touchdowns and not have to kick field goals, and obviously got stopped on the 1-2 before we chose to kick a field goal from inside the 1. But yeah, just it starts up front. Got to block better. If we have to make changes up front personnel-wise, and we'll do what we got to do to get that fixed. But that kind of starts, to me, that's where it begins, you know, and then puts a lot of pressure on 3rd downs with, you know, a young quarterback that had a tough night, you know, just call it what it is. So, but at the same time, we got to do some things to help him as well. But definitely, you know, got to go back and evaluate everything we're doing on offense.
Mike on your left and Ravi.
You mentioned Taven, I mean, settles down, you know, with that last 2-point conversion, but what did you see from him? Kind of missed some throws high. I mean, what did you get a sense of his sort of demeanor, and we've talked a lot about his moxie, but where was he at in that second half as you guys were continuing to struggle?
Yeah, it was a tough night. You know, he definitely wasn't his best, and we didn't do a good job protecting him. There was guys in his face all night long. The running backs did not do a good job blocking at all, as well as our offensive line. So both of those groups really added to that. Some of those issues caused maybe some high throws, but just you know, we had some open receivers that we didn't hit. We had 3 critical drops. One that would have been a touchdown early on. Just lack of focus, call it, but that's really what it is. You know, so those 3 drops were hurt us, and then just not being able to execute. So just you know, growing pains without question, but Got to look at it very thoroughly and figure out where we need to be and what we need to do to get those things fixed, because we got a really good team coming up here. And just
Rabbit on your left and Mason.
Yeah, Coach, just one offensive touchdown through 4 quarters against a team that gave up 35 last week. So obvious question, is that play calling needs adjusting? Is it execution? Is it both? Is it anything? What do you see, and kind of how would you grade the offensive production tonight through 4 quarters?
yeah, not good enough, not close, so below the standard, below what's acceptable, for sure. Need to go back and watch the film to be able to evaluate the execution piece and obviously see the things that I mentioned as far as the drops and not doing a good job, and obviously just evaluate what we're calling. And I think there's no question that some of those leading up to it, causes you to be a little bit, a little more careful in some of those situations, not to create a takeaway and put you in a worse situation, because the defense was playing well and doing a lot of good things. So that's, even why we chose to kick the field goal from the 1 yard line, just because, hey, it was a 7-point lead. We really wanted to have a double, 2-score lead, which is frustrating, but at the same time, played that one just to be able to get enough points, which proved to be a pretty critical decision, to give us a chance to go to overtime, So just looking at it live, like you all saw, very frustrating, not good enough. That's all I'm going to say.
Mason on your right and Zion.
Coach, you mentioned that you need to make some changes, and that process, I would imagine, is extensive, but how deep is that process? What all goes into that process?
Well,
of
I mean, you just go
evaluation?
through, and we'll go through and evaluate all the times when we broke down. You go through, why was it? Was it technique? Was it skill? From the talent of a person being able to make that, whatever it is we're asking them to do, and just be able to make sure, is it the call? Is it what we're, position we're putting the guys in, So that to me is the evaluation. There's some things on defense too that we didn't execute at critical times, and hurt us. That long run at the end was inexcusable to me. Shouldn't have been to overtime. We should have, defensively did a lot of great things. We can't give up that long run. It was a wrong fit by one of our linebackers who, is one of our better players, and so it just cannot happen. But offensively, it is a thorough process. It'll start here in a few hours. It'll be a short night to be able to get back to work and figure out what we got to do, because obviously we're playing again here real soon.
Zion on your left, last one.
Coach, the quarterback Irons had 141 yards rushing. What did you think led to his success, whether it was a design run or him scrambling?
Yeah, I think, when they do a lot of things that put you in conflict with your eyes. So man is a better answer than playing zone. The negative of that is if your front doesn't contain him, then when he does break free, there's no eyes on him. So what's happened on the last run, I thought they kind of put us in the second overtime there when we had him on a situation to get to the quarterback. So I thought that was part of it. Didn't think we had good edges at times, defensively. He's a very dangerous guy without question. And so, but just, once again, even though the defense was on the field way too much, which they were, that puts a lot of pressure on them. But at the same time, felt like we didn't do a great job containing a really dangerous quarterback who we knew going in was a really good athlete, could beat you with his legs. And so it's just that fine line between getting enough pressure on him and also having eyes on him so you can make sure when he does break free, you can get him on the ground. So we were successful at it a lot of the time, but not all the time, and not enough.
All right, thanks, Tom.
All right, have a great night, LEO.